15th, 1769. He had not been a healthy baby, and his mother, Letizia, lavished him with care and devotion.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you, my brother. Thank you. So let me tell you just a little bit about how this whole thing started. Is that in 1968, Stanley Kubrick, who's right here today, Stanley Kubrick, who is, Stanley Kubrick, who was of course, you all know the film director, but he was a huge fan of Napoleon. Like, he read anything he could read about him, and he gathered, like he said, all his team to go across Europe, to go to Paris, to gather artifacts, to gather, costumes, and he went on location, and he prepared that thing, which would have been one of the biggest films ever made at that time. And in 1968, in the beginning of the 70s, you have this movie called Waterloo, wonderful movie, but it's about Napoleon. And what happened is that he didn't make a lot of money. So in those days, all the movies were made only by the studio. You know, it's not like now you have some personal investors, because I'm sure we would have found money for him to do the movie nowadays, right? No, so the studios didn't believe too much in this big movie. And so the movie was never made. And because it is such a big thing, and I have a book after that you can see from the Taschen editions that they had just released, where they show all the thousands of archives that Kubrick used. So we call that movie the greatest movie never made. You know, this is how we call it. And you can see for the fans of Kubrick, any fans of Kubrick here? Yeah, of course. So I'm sure you can recognize in the script a lot of the Kubrickian, is how we say Kubrickian, right? Kubrickian touch. For example, when he's talking to the bartender, you have that in The Shining. You know, this scene with the bartenders, the way he has the relationship with Josephine, the way they're talking a little bit off and on to each other. You have that in Eyes Wide Shut, you know, Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman, once he tells her that basically he went to sleep around, you know, I wish I could go to the party, but he goes, man. Anyway, so he goes there, the way they are interacting with each other is very similar to that. And of course you can recognize some of the humor, but what is also very interesting in the script is that he hired many historians in order to build a very strong script and lines. You see actually a lot of these letters that he wrote to the historian. And there are many things that are very interesting. Actually, the use of the narrator. There is a narrator in the movie, you know, who tells everything. So it's not me who added him to read all the stage directions. It's really a narrator who is part of the movie. And also you have a lot of voiceover, you have a lot of monologue, so it was kind of perfect for when I had this idea, like about a year ago, to do it as a stage adaptation. So the stage adaptation took, you know, quite a while, because you had 48 characters. 48 characters, and I cannot afford 48 actors on stage. You know, that's like, you know, I have to save money for my green card. Now, so it was hard to condense it, and I'm so blessed to have found these amazing actors who are so versatile. Versatile, how do you say? Versatile. My accent's from New Jersey, don't be. Versatile. So this is how it started, and of course I added some songs of the Napoleon era, like the Gloire to Napoleon, like all the glorious songs that were written at that time, and I ended with the French national anthem, the long version. And also at some point I sing Le Chant du Départ, you know, La victoire en chantant, nous ouvrons la main. And the little story about that is that this song was written in 1794, and Napoleon had Le Chant du Départ as the French national anthem. And you guys know why? It's because Rouget de Lille, the composer of the French national anthem, was one of the lovers of Josephine. So Napoleon didn't like that song just because of that. So during his era, he had the Chant du Départ as the French national anthem. And when he died, the Marseillaise came back as the French national anthem. So this was really an experiment in the sense that, for two reasons. The first one is that it was the first time that, you know, a movie that lived only in Kubrick's mind, you know, took life. You know, and also it was the first time that a movie that was never made was adapted for the stage. So we didn't really know how the reception of that would be, but you know, we felt that Kubrick needed that movie out, and also Steven Spielberg has announced recently that he will adapt this script as a TV series produced by HBO. So hopefully we will have it very often because exactly. Because Spielberg took a lot of Kubrick's unfinished projects like AI, you know, artificial intelligence. That's a movie by Kubrick originally that, Spielberg took. So, because this is the last show, I want to thank from the bottom of my heart all these wonderful cast members, please. Thank you for their hard work, dedication. Thank you to the audience. Thank you, Mr. Orange Shots. And my new album is available. I'm going to have the pleasure of meeting you. We love you. Thank you very much.
Thanks, David.
Thank you so much for having me. Such an honor meeting you.
It was great to come up from Florida and see this.
I love you guys.
Great treat.
I'm so honored that you guys not only came, but helped me also to promote the project, and also were so good to me. So I really, really appreciate it.
Oh, our pleasure. I mean, anything to get the word out. As you know, there was not a long time of marketing.
Yeah.
And it caught a lot of people by surprise.
Yeah. But actually,
in the Kubrick community.
The first show was like packed, you know. There was a lot of people. The second show a little bit less because maybe it's a Thursday, so that's why. Yeah.
That's awesome.
But yeah. I mean, for reading, you know, it's also, if it was a full production, it would have been different. But for reading, you know, it's a fair.
Well, a lot of us, we didn't even know it was in development.
Oh yeah.
So we heard a lot about, you know, the process through your stage introductions and things like that. I think we would like to know, you know, representing the Kubrick Society, is a little bit more about, like, where did you get the initiative? Like, for example, it sounds like about a year ago you thought of doing it.
Yeah.
But what gave you the idea?
Well, I've always been a big fan of Napoleon. I read everything that I could about Napoleon, and I wrote a show actually about Napoleon, which is a one-man musical show where he sings the stuff that I sing tonight, but also adds, it's like a autobiographic, you know, thing from I was born, you know. So he tells his stories, and a lot of the stuff, like I said at the end of the show, between how, you know, Rouget de Lille, who wrote the Marseillaise, was one of the lovers of Josephine, so he wanted to switch both. All these kind of beautiful stories. So I've always been a big fan, and then of course, every time there is something new about Napoleon, I want to read about it, and I want to know about it, and I want, you know, to know anything about that. So I found out about the movie about Napoleon not so much a long time ago, like maybe a year ago. That's really when I found out. And the Taschen, the book, the edition also helped because I saw that book in all the archives. And then I read the script and I was like, you know what, let's do a stage adaptation, because the problem with the movie is that is the #1 rule in screenwriting is you act what you can speak and you speak what you can't act. You know, by example, you don't say, I am angry. You know, you would say, you know, you will act the fact that you're angry. Or in very, very old plays, very old theater, they will say it because the audience was very primitive, you know. But now it's different. So that was the idea. But the good thing with Stanley Kubrick on that movie is that he's verbalizing so much informations. It's like really a mix of history and movie and Kubrick and also the way he does things, which sometimes he makes it not very broad. You know, he makes it very. I call it, this is the filmmaker's filmmaker. You know, it's like it's the #1 stuff that really the people of the profession really appreciate.
So when you got the idea, it sounds like it's coming from more the Napoleon camp.
Yeah.
And you find out that Kubrick has written the script 50 years ago, basically.
Yeah.
And then,
I had no idea about
and then
that.
it went through this process. Tell us a little bit more about the steps. Like, so what did you do? Did you contact the estate or?
Well, the thing about the legal part of it is that it's been rented exactly 50 years ago. So you have something in the copyright laws that you can always manipulate things that have been written after 50 years, which is different when it goes to public domain, which is 70 years at the death of the writer. So, and also I presented it as a reading, you know. So the only thing that can get you, let's say, in trouble is if you claim the authorship, you know, which is absolutely far from being my case. So that's the idea, was to read it, and as fans of Napoleon, Napoleon and Kubrick, most importantly, as a huge fan, to bring this to the audience. And hopefully maybe it will push people to have the movie done or have the TV series done. And I'm so happy that there were so many articles, especially in France, where Kubrick is like, I think even more, not more appreciated than in the US, but he is like a god over there, you know. And they wrote that, oh, we are so happy that this play is going because he will kind of renew the attention that people have for that movie and push people to happen, definitely.
Regarding adaptation, have you done this before?
Yeah, I did many adaptations, many classics, many theater classics that I adapted just for me, that I adapted just for my productions, and most of the classics that I do, I always adapted for me. I want to keep really the core of it, really the best of it, and whatever is not necessary, I remove it, because I believe the audience of the, let's say, 18th or 19th century, if I do an opera or a classical play, is not the same as 2018. They're used to the snapshot of 10 seconds, so their attention is shorter. So you have to find elements and materials that will captivate them. Even nowadays, you know, for Stanley Kubrick, you know, it's also very different. Like I saw the other day The Shining again, and I saw that scene of Jack Nicholson with the bartender. I mean, in those days, the actors had space to act the scene because it was on film, you know. But nowadays, that scene, there would have been 2-3 cuts, 2-3 inserts, someone coming, you know. It would have disturbed a little bit the performance, I think.
Well, regarding the adaptation, what did you find most challenging about it, or did it come easy to you?
Oh, it was to list all the 48 characters and to try to see who can play what, you know, because they are so. Because I have to see also with budget-wise that I cannot have like 2-3 actors just to come and say one line, you know. So that was really one of the biggest challenge, to do that, and also to make it attractive for the audience, you know, because they're not reading it, they're not watching it. It's a full 3 senses. They're watching, they're listening. There is some music, so you have to put yourself from the perspective of the audience.
Is the foundation helping you with this? Was
Oh,
that one of the factors?
financially, absolutely not.
Oh,
no. I always say finance all my stuff.
This is self-financed.
Absolutely.
Wow, amazing.
Yeah.
How did you get this venue?
Oh, I've done already a performance with them, like did already a production here, and they had the desire, because they saw a lot of my shows, they had the desire for me to bring my shows here also. So I love to bring here very specific projects, like I brought the Yiddish King Lear, which was a Yiddish play that was lost, that was one of the most important Yiddish play of all time. So I brought it here because of the Lower East Side, you know, and here for the summer, you know, Napoleon, I thought it would have been great to make it in a venue that is a little bit more on the artistic side.
That's a beautiful place.
Yeah.
Just if you have a couple more minutes,
Sure.
I'm just kind of curious, the music. I mean, I know you're musical, you know, you're an opera singer and fantastic voice.
Oh, thank you so much.
Was that always part of when you first attracted to this? Like you wanted to
Oh,
put
yeah.
music into
It was always, in all my projects, I like to add music. Even when I do a play, I use the piano to do some tremolo. I add the piano to try to bring a little bit some relief, you know, some nuances in just the narrative, like not just voices. But I like when there is music, when there are some sounds effect. So with Napoleon, you had to create also these, you know, the war machine and all this stuff. Yeah.
Now, some of this music is old music, but is any of it original?
No, nothing is original. It's all very important classics from the Napoleonic era.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay. Well, how did Kubrick's research play a role in what you've done? You've come to learn that he researched the hell out of this.
Oh, yeah.
So did that influence your production at all? Or?
Yeah, I mean, you can tell that he understood the characters, because we know about the characters. We know about all these political figures, but we don't know how they would talk. You know, we don't know their voices. So it was very interesting, and this usually it's the director who helps you to find the voice. So the fact that we don't have the guy who wrote it was also a challenge for me to try to understand also through the correspondence that he had with some of his historical consultants. When he says, so how was Hippolyte Charles, the lover, you know, oh, he was only 19. Okay, so that helps also a lot, and you have to find the right roles, the right series of roles for the right actors also.
So the Taschen book was as important as the script itself?
Oh, yeah. It was important. Also, I wanted to start from nothing. Like, I wanted to start from the script, you know, because many times when you listen to so many interpretations or when you see too many things, then you lose really your own identity. It's like if you do a salad and you put all kind of spices and ingredients, then after it sounds nothing new, you know. So this is very important always to start from the script, which is the most neutral material, and there you can build your own material on it, your own signature.
Have you played Napoleon before?
Yeah, I played it in a couple of commercials. I've been told a long time that I've been looking like him. You know, once someone told me, like, what do you do? Yeah, like, what do you do to look like him? I say, you think about your taxes. Then you become like that.
Well, that said, and this sounds like maybe the most comprehensive Napoleon role you played.
Yeah.
So, coming from somebody, you know, a lot of the world, maybe a lot of people know Napoleon. Some people just know that he was a French character. But what have you liked most about the character now, and what do you like least?
Oh, you know, I've always loved him, always admired him. I feel, you know, that I played the character Napoleon from Kubrick is a little bit different from the way I will play it. You know, I would have never thought that he would say, shut up to Josephine, you know, these scenes. But the way Kubrick wrote it, it was calling for this kind of aggressivity in a way, you know, and all his weakness and all his stuff. Napoleon was really very, very special. You know, it was like he wouldn't trust anybody. And at the end, you know, one thing that we didn't show too much in the movie, because it's very rare that for a movie you can cross the whole story of Napoleon. As a matter of fact, it's the only one, because all the movies that crossed the whole thing, they were 4-hour films, you know. So it would have been the very first movie that would have crossed his whole life in a single movie. Would have been around 2 hours, I believe, from what I can count. You know.
Well, knowing how serious Kubrick researched something, and you saw the file cabinets and the books and the scenes, do you think he nailed Napoleon the best that you?
Oh, yeah. I mean, the more you do research about him, the more you find him, you know. You have to dig into him, and you have to find his identity and who he is. And we're so lucky that nowadays with internet, I don't know how he did before, you had to send people there, you know, to do researches, to go to the library, taking forever. And you know, you didn't have Xerox, you know what I mean? So you had to rewrite down notes and stuff. So it was, you know, now it's easier. You do copy and paste, and you go on internet, you have everything. But in the old days, it was a little bit different. So yeah, definitely.
Are you a Kubrick fan?
Huge Kubrick fan.
But
I'm going to be even more now, you know, because I not try to analyze too much Kubrick's style. I try to, as I said, you know, start again from the composer, from the original, from the paper, and from them to create my stuff, you know. So that's, I think, what is the most beautiful, you know, because you can bring it for the audience, and you can see in the script some stuff that could have been said in the 70s that you couldn't say it in 2018, you know. And I removed a lot of that stuff, you know, because the audience, you know, like my wife is a slut, you know, this kind of stuff, maybe the word slut wouldn't have been used in 2018. I don't think so, you know.
What is your favorite Kubrick movie? Or do you?
Oh, you know, 2001. Yeah, but now it is this one.
Well, has your connection to Kubrick grown through this project? Do you feel
I feel I grew up a lot with this project. As every project I do, it's a project that takes me to the next step, you know, to the next level, not just because I learned from all the other actors and I steal a lot from them, but also from the audience. It's a new experience, regardless who wrote the material, the original material. So this project, thank you Kubrick, really helped me, you know, because we deal with like the greatest genius of all time, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So what's next, David?
Next, I have, I'm going to take a week off. Then I have a lot of shows in September, October, November, December. I have Streetcar Named Desire that is played here. I have Eugene Onegin, the opera that is played here. And I have in March a lot of shows, June, July, and many, many other shows.
Yeah, I saw your resume. It's just,
it's going on.
But with this, do you feel like you'll maybe do more, make it into a full stage?
We will see. I think it was like a good experiment for 2 shows. We recorded in a professional studio, the cast album recording, like in the studio, so that would be able to have the project to live on longer. But for the moment, I will see. I will see. It also depends on the demand of the public, you know.
You talking to Spielberg?
I hope. We'll see.
Is there anything you'd like to tell the Kubrick community?
I want to say to all of you guys how much I love you. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you for coming to the show, because a lot of you guys were there. And thank you for welcoming me in your community, because you're always, you know, when you have societies, you know, you're always afraid of the guy outside that is coming, you know. But you guys actually helped me and show me your support, which pushed me to do even a better job that I could.
Oh,
you know,
it's our pleasure.
And it's an honor being with you guys.
Thank you for putting us in your program.
It is. Oh yeah, you saw that?
Yeah,
yeah, I'm glad you saw it. Well, thank you so much, guys.